Recessive red is a fairly common, but very attractive and popular colour mutation in domestic pigeons. Good quality recessive red pigeons are entirely covered in a brick red coloration, without any other colour or pattern visible. This colour is perhaps most commonly associated with the carno breed of pigeon, so much so that the colour is occasionally called carno when found in other breeds. But how do you breed recessive red? Let's talk about that now. If this is your first time on the channel, press like and subscribe now so you never miss another video. The first clue in how to breed this colour is in the name. Recessive red is, obviously, a recessive gene. This means that a pigeon needs 2 copies of the recessive red gene to produce the desired solid red colour. As we know that pigeons can only receive 1 copy of the gene from each parent, this means that both parents must carry the gene in order to produce a recessive red baby. So of course, the easiest way to breed a recessive red pigeon is simply from 2 recessive red parents. Because this is a recessive gene though, it is possible to produce a recessive red from 2 pigeons who carry, but do not express the gene. Let's take a quick look at a Punnett Square to explain it. In genetic notation, recessive red is represented by a lowercase letter e, and the wild type is a plus sign. Here we can see 2 parents who both carry the recessive red gene, which again is signified by the e. When we fill in the squares, we see that 1/4 of the young received 2 plus signs, which means they did not receive the gene at all. Half the young received a plus sign and an E, which means that like their parents, they carry the recessive red gene, but do not express it. And the final quarter received 2 E's in their box. These birds will be recessive red pigeons, even though neither of their parents visibly expressed the gene. One thing you may have noticed if you've watched any of my other how to breed videos, is that so far in this video we have not mentioned the pigeon's base colour or pattern. This is because recessive red typically covers over the underlying colour and pattern, so the recessive red phenotype can be produced using any combination of base colour and pattern. That being said though, better quality recessive reds are often produced using a blue or brown base colour, and a darker pattern like check or T-check. So far we have learned that recessive red is controlled by a simple recessive gene, but the reality is that recessive red breeding is deceptively simple. Pigeons who simply carry 2 copies of the recessive red gene often do not express the beautiful, solid brick red that most breeders expect. Instead, we often get birds with an incomplete coverage of red, with the underlying pattern bleeding through the red coat. This is sometimes called unimproved recessive red, and other modifier genes are needed to improve the colour. One useful gene is the dominant modifier called spread. This gene is best known for producing solid black pigeons. The spreading effect of this gene helps spread and thicken up the red coloration on the pigeon. Another is the dominant dirty modifier, which darkens the pigeon and again improves the red colour. Some breeders also find that including various different bronzing factors in the pigeon's genotype helps improve the colour. Recessive red in racing pigeons is often also interrupted by a white mottled coloration, which some breeders do not find attractive and wish to remove from their birds. To remove the white from your pigeons, I suggest crossing your birds into unrelated stock, including into spread and dirty pigeons, to improve the colour, and then pairing the F1 birds back together. Continue to breed from the birds with the least white, until eventually it'll be almost entirely gone. Recessive red can also be modified into what some breeders call recessive yellow, with the addition of the dilute modifier gene. This is the same gene that creates true silver and dun-coloured pigeons. The so-called recessive yellow is a very attractive colour, but I will produce an episode focusing on the dilute gene itself soon. Apart from the classic brick red coloration, the recessive red gene is also a vital component of a lot of other attractive phenotypes, such as almond, whiteside, and more. These more complicated phenotypes can be very attractive, and there is a massive amount of variety in them among different pigeon breeds, but we will look into them in another episode in the future. There also exists another gene which is actually an allele of recessive red, called ember. This is a very interesting and somewhat rare gene. Ember pigeons appear similar to a standard recessive red in the nest, but they molt into a nice subtle red colour throughout the bird's entire body that only just covers the underlying pattern and gives an effect that some people describe as looking like burning embers. I'll make a more in-depth video on this interesting gene in the future. I hope this video has helped you understand how to breed brick red coloured pigeons. Please feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments. If you'd like a more scientific explanation of how the gene works on a molecular level, I'll include a link to the University of Utah in the description for you to read.